Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Steve again, Harmless Rebel. Time for another hard rock and metal update. Let's jump in. Let's see again. A lot of this stuff is stuff that I've had for years that's been in the stacks over here that I've just been going through and finally getting around to spinning and getting everything put up in the collection. Finally getting this place in order. Slowed down my spending. So, a lot of this is technically, it's a vinyl update because I'm adding it to the collection, but a lot of this stuff is stuff that I've had for years, honestly. First up, Hometown Heroes, Flotsam and Jetsam. This is live at Phoenix, the Bash on Ash. I want to say, right here, 2003. This is not the full show. I hate when bands do this. I don't know why they didn't just do a 2 LP and put the whole set. So this is about half the set, but still sounds pretty good, and it's a good set. But this is again, Flotsam and Jetsam live in Phoenix. Grab this one while you can. I mean, they only press 300 of them. You can still get it for pretty cheap, but once they disappear, they're going to dry up. There's not many of them out there. Mortification. I think I need one more Mortification album on vinyl, and I'm done. This is Erasing the Goblin. This one's always been a favorite of mine. I've always loved the terrible artwork on this, and honestly just love terrible metal artwork in general, but I've always really dug this one. This one was was in the 2000s. I want to say this was in the late 90s, but this could have been in the early 2000s. But Erasing the Goblin. Next up, this is one that I put off listening to forever. And finally spun it, and I like it. I don't love it. This is Trouble, Distortion Field. They did just reissue it finally, so you can get it for a decent price. When I grabbed this, it was like $35, but this is an original pressing. They go for $85, and they did it at the time I bought this. I just happened to buy it from a store where it had been sitting for years and just nobody bought it, so it still had the original price tag on it, so I got a good deal. It's still Trouble, but Eric Wagner was Trouble. He's a fantastic songwriter. His voice was Trouble, and without him, it's just not the same band. It's not bad. It's just good doom metal, but it's not the great doom metal that it likely would have been had Eric been fronting this band. Next up, one of the final shows from Lemmy. This is Motorhead, Clean Your Clock. Finally, the reason I didn't grab this before, because I thought it was just too much. They were like $45-$50 when they came out, because it's got a fold out of the Bomber stage, and it's a really cool fold out. But this is more of an archival thing. It's not a great sounding live show. This is about 4 or 5 weeks before Lemmy died, and right after, was it Phil who died right before him? I can't remember. But so this is a week after one of the other guys died. This was 5 weeks before he died. He just doesn't sound great, but as a Motorhead fan, it's just one of those things that I really wanted to have in the collection. And it's a really nice archival pressing just to hear him from that last tour before he passed away. Next up, this is another one of those deals where I just kind of lucked out. So this is the repress of Psychotic Supper from Tesla that came out in 2016. And the price of this has gone through the roof. I want to say it's like, God, it's got to be a good $65-$75 now. What You Give was the huge hit off of this. Song on Emotion was pretty big. Call It What You Want. Really killer album. And they did a great job. It's a really killer pressing. But like I said, the price shot up and I never grabbed it. And then I was at Second and Charles. And Second and Charles has the date that they put the sticker on there. And it had just been sitting in the bins since 2016. And it was still $27. So I got this for a killer deal. Like I said, it was going for like $65, $75 on the secondary market by that time. Next up, just pulled this one out and spun it again. Probably, if not the best thrash album of the last 10 years. It's definitely in the top 3. But Nightmare Logic from the late, great Power Trip. Unfortunately, Riley Gale overdosed. This is another one that really upsets me because I had a chance to see them with Voivod. And I decided not to because Power Trip came through here pretty regularly. They usually hit here at least once a year, if not twice a year sometimes. And I knew I would see him again. And unfortunately, 6 months later, Riley was dead. But Nightmare Logic is, and I would say it's probably one of the 10 best crossover thrash albums of all time. It's that good. If you haven't listened to this is a must-have. Another one of the Mortifications, Brain Cleaner. Not going to get into these too much. Scott's done a lot of videos about them. I've talked about the band probably 30 times over the years. Oh, there we go. Relentless. Another Mortification. Mortification, just the artwork is where it's at. This is actually one of my favorite Mortification album covers. Really killer, though. I love this album. This is one I was really excited about when they announced it was being pressed to vinyl. Like I said, I just need one of their albums now, and I'm done. Next up, Traveler. This is a band that I remember when they came out. Everybody was talking about them. I didn't grab any of their stuff, though, and then they did a Canadian metal comp of new wave of traditional metal bands, and Traveler was on there, and that was my favorite track on that comp. So I went ahead and grabbed both of their albums. Again, this is like 2 years ago, and they've just been sitting there the whole time. But you've got their, I believe this is their self-titled debut, and I love their artwork too. Just really killer artwork. And then Terminal Shock, same thing. Fantastic artwork. And I just mentioned this band, and this is I want to say this was my introduction to this band. This was the first album that I heard from them, if I remember correctly. But this is 1987, Killing Technology from Voivod. Fantastic album. This may be my favorite Voivod album. Next up, this is a band that Scott Waters, the Left Till Metal. This is a band that he turned me on to maybe 7-8 years ago. He sent me a link to an eBay listing for their CD, which at the time, it's been repressed since then, but at the time they were going for like $35-40 because they did a single pressing of each of their CDs, and it was like $15. He's like, you got to get this, you're gonna love it. It's just really good traditional death metal. So I grabbed it and I loved it, and I ended up searching out their other 2 albums. They only have one bad song from their whole career, and it's on their 3rd album. It's one where they did this death metal rap thing, made no sense. Everything else that they've released has been fantastic, though. About 5 years ago, they did a reissue on CD of this album with their demo as a second disc, so I bought that. Then when Sound Mass announced that they were doing this, I couldn't buy it fast enough. But this is In Darkness or in Light, Metanoia. Again, just really killer. If you like early death metal, 89, 90, 91 era, you're gonna love this album. But this is it's fantastic. Next up, Please Come Home, Mr. Bulbous from King's X. By the time this one came out, I had completely moved on from King's X. I've slowly gone back and really gotten into these. This one may be kind of the end of it for me. I haven't liked their last few albums. But this one is really, really good. I really dig this one. So when they announced they were going to do this one for Record Store Day, I was super stoked and had to buy it. But again, Please Come Home, Mr. Bulbous. Next up, a little bit of thrash, Toxic World Circus. MOV's just been doing some really good metal stuff lately. It seems like they do 2 or 3 really good metal albums every couple months, and this was one of them from, I want to say, last year. Just really good 80s thrash, though. Kind of second tier thrash, but still really good. But highly recommend grabbing that one while it's still available from MOV. Next up, so this is one I bought it not realizing what it was. So I was messing around on the High Roller website, and I ran across some test pressings. And one of the test pressings that they had for sale, and the cool thing about High Roller is they sell their test pressings for like 10 pounds more than their actual albums. You'll see a lot of labels, they'll sell them for like $100, $125. High Roller's never done that. It's always like an extra 5 to 10. Where are they at? Are they in? I can't remember if they're in UK or Germany. But 5 to 10 euros or pounds, whichever. But it's not too much more. And so I thought I got this thinking it was their debut because that's all that they had. What I didn't realize is this was their unreleased second album. So this was actually recorded right after their debut. However, it's right after Yannick left for Iron Maiden, so he's not on here. But it's still really good new wave of British heavy metal and definitely worth grabbing. But this is 21 grams. And the cool thing about when they do their test pressings, they don't come in a blank sleeve. They all come in the actual sleeve. They come with all the inserts the regular album comes with. However, they put this little sample stamp or sticker on here. So very cool. But this is a... I'm sorry, did I say white label promo? No, it's a test pressing. If I said white label promo, I meant test pressing, but still really good. Check this out. It basically continues where they were. I don't know why I didn't pay attention to the picture because they look quite a bit different. They got this like new wave look going on, but still a really good album and really worth checking out, especially if you like that first one. Next up, this was one I was really excited about. This was the only Typo Negative I didn't have on vinyl. Originals were going for hundreds of dollars. Bootlegs were like $75. And luckily, right about the time I was about to buy the bootleg for it, it was announced that they were going to press it to vinyl finally. And I finally have completed my Typo Negative collection with Dead Again. They sound fantastic. Just like everything else from Typo Negative, they did a great job on all these reissues. Peter Steele's one of those guys, I like everything he ever released. I shouldn't say that. There were some live boots, live official boots that sounded like shit, but I've always been a big fan of Peter Steele, and really happy to finally have that one on vinyl. Next up, I showed this before, but Sarah, Bit Bop Boom, John's wife, we were all on a live stream together, and this album came up, and she ended up playing a song on it, and I just happened to have this in my inbox. This is one I bought maybe 3-4 years ago for like $7-8, and I bought it just based on the cover, not even realizing who was in the band. But this is Shakin' Street. This was a band that Ross the Boss did. He was not on their debut. They only did 2 albums. The debut with the singer Fabian Shine. And then Ross the Boss came in for the second album. Ross the Boss, of course, from The Dictators and from Manowar. And he's fantastic on here. This is just really good 80s hard rock. Think Joan Jett, Runaways, just fantastic. But the singer's French. She's not singing in French though. But I bought it because it was a white label promo. It looked cool. I didn't even pay attention to the fact that it was Ross the Boss on the back of it. But if you run across this, is one I recommend checking out. It's just a fun album. And then last but not least, not really metal or hard rock. This is actually a band that would become hard rock, but this is the Best of UFO. However, this is from '73. And this, I believe this was a Germany only release, but this is the best of UFO, and it's basically the best of their first two albums. So for you guys that are into space rock, this is one worth grabbing. Again, I got this one for cheap, but it sounds fantastic, and it's a really good comp of their first couple albums. That's it, guys. I hope everybody's doing good. Take care, and I'll see you soon.